I'm gonna teach you how to double crochet. I'm gonna show you the tools that you need, how to do it, how to start, how to finish it off, everything. This is the complete guide to learn how to double crochet. So let's go. Okay, so today we're gonna learn how to double crochet, but we need to go over what the correct tools are. So first you want to pick the right yarn, which some people have varying opinions on this, but my opinion is to pick a lighter color because light colors are a lot easier to see and you can see the stitch definition. And so my personal opinion is to use a light color. I also think it's important to not pick something that's too fuzzy because again, it's really hard to see the stitch definition when your yarn has all these fuzzy things poking out of it everywhere. My next recommendation is to pick a yarn that has a tight weave. If you pick one that is splitting apart and all of the strands are splitting apart, again, it's hard to see the definition. It's hard to see like where your crochet hook is supposed to go into. And it's just kind of confusing for new crocheters, especially kiddos. The next thing that you're gonna wanna pick is the correct hook. So if you look here on the back of a skein, you're going to find two different boxes. One box will have a set of knitting needles and the other box will have a crochet hook. And in this box, it's going to tell you the recommended crochet hook size for the yarn that you're buying. This will give you a good starting point for which crochet hook to use. Now, you don't have to use this size hook. You can size up for a looser project or size down for a tighter project. And if you buy a crochet pattern, the pattern will also recommend a hook size. Other tools that are handy for crocheting are a pair of scissors and a tapestry needle. The scissors obviously are for cutting yarn, and the tapestry needle is so that you can weave your ends in at the end of the project. For this project, I'm going to be using this skein of yarn. This is the K&C brand bamboo and cotton skein of yarn from Joann's. The recommended hook size for this is a 4mm G6 hook. For this project though, I'm going to be using a 5mm H8 hook just so that my stitches are a little bit larger and it'll be a little bit easier for you to see what I'm doing. So when you begin a project, the base of every project is either worked in chains or in a magic ring. That's basically what you're going to be putting your crochet stitches into. So chains would be a long set of chains that you work, back and forth like in rows. And a magic ring would be a circle shape, and that would create a circular project like a hat or something for like amigurumi. Today we're going to be working with chains because we're just going to make a swatch of double crochets and we're going to be going back and forth in rows, so it'll be nice and easy for you to see exactly what I'm doing. So when I use a skein of yarn, I like to pull from the center. Some people will rip this outer paper off and start from the outside, but I don't like my skein of yarn to just go rolling off everywhere. So I like to pull from the center. This one, luckily, was a nice and easy center pull. So when you start a project, you need to start with a slip knot, and that's how you will begin your chains. So how I like to do a slip knot is I take my finger and I take the tail of the yarn and I wrap it from the front around 2 times. So there's 2 loops on my finger. Okay, and the tail will be in the front here. Then what I do is I take the back loop and I bring it over the front, but leave it on my finger, and then take this back loop and bring it over and drop it off. And that's the easiest way that I found to do a slip knot. That's just how I was taught early on. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take your crochet hook and you're going to slip it through that knot and you're going to just tighten it up. So then you take the tail of your yarn in your left hand, and for making a slip knot, you're going to yarn over and pull through. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. And for this little swatch, we're going to do 10 chains. So you can tell that the chains are, the number of chains is these little V's. So you count the V's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so I'm only going to be working 8 double crochets into this project. And so the reason why we have 10 chains is because you need 2 extra chains for the height of the double crochet. Otherwise, you'll have a really tight end and it'll pull weird and look funny. You skip 1, 2, and go into the 3rd chain. And to do a double crochet, you would yarn over and go into the top loop of this chain. Then you pull up a loop. So now you'll have 3 loops on your hook. Then to finish off the stitch, you yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. So you see how the 2 extra chains give it the height, and this right here is your stitch. So again, we're going to do that same thing into the next stitch. So the next little loop here, you're going to yarn over and insert into that little loop, and then hook the working yarn and pull it up, and then yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. This is how you make a double crochet. So yarn over, go into the next loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so currently we have the 2 chains at the end, and then 1, 2, and 3 double crochet stitches. Okay, so the next one, we'll go yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and pull through 2. This is also why it's very important when you're working your chains to make sure that you stay consistent in how you make your chains, because if not, they will get twisted up and it will be very hard to find the loop that you're supposed to go into. So last one here, yarn over, insert, draw up a loop, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Okay, so what's cool about a double crochet is the post is very high, so it's easy to count. So here's your beginning chain, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is what we were going to be doing. The other way that you can count is by turning the project vertical and counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 V's. That's another way of doing it. Okay, so now we've come to the end of the row. Back here, this right here is your slip knot, so you don't work anything into that. So now, again, just like in the beginning, we need 2 chains to create height for the next row. So you're going to chain 1 by yarning over and pulling through, just like we did on the base, and then you turn your work. Okay, so now to come back this way, you're going to yarn over and start doing your double crochets. So you'll work into this stitch right here. You could see a V. You're going to put your hook through both sides of the V and draw up your loop and yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. Again, yarn over. You can see right here, you're going to put it right in this section here. You can see it goes through the two posts of the V, and then you'll draw up a loop with your hook, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Okay, so you can see these are our beginning chains right here, and then a double crochet and a double crochet. Okay, so yarn over, insert, draw up a loop, if you saw my last tutorial video, I taught you guys how to make a half double crochet, which is basically like a half version of a double crochet. And that one I have a short and a full length tutorial on doing the half double crochet. It's very important to make sure you're counting where you're at, just so you know how many stitches you're doing. And we know that like on this project, we need 8 stitches across. So we don't want to, have 10 stitches across, because then your project's going to start kind of going wonky in different directions. So we see our 2 chains here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches. So we know we have 1 more to do. So we're going to go into this last stitch, draw up a loop. Some patterns will tell you to like work this double crochet into this chain stitch, but for this project, we're not going to be doing that. Just for the ease of learning and all of that, it's a little bit easier to just make sure we're working into the stitches and not the chains. So again, for height, we need to chain 2. So yarn over, chain 1, yarn over, chain 2. And then we turn our work. And so on this one, I'm going to slow it way down so you can see exactly where we're at. Okay, so we have our 2 chains. Now we're going to The biggest thing with crocheting is learning how to have your hand placement and figuring out what feels comfortable to you. I like holding my hook like a pencil, like I would if I was writing something, but other people will hold their hook like they're cutting something, like they're, cutting a steak or something. I only do this when I'm working on things like baskets, where it's a little bit harder to get your hook in and out of the stitches. But for easier projects like this, I like to hold like the pencil. Okay, so again, we're going to make sure that we have 8 stitches. Last time we counted the posts. This time I'm going to count the top V's just to show you that option. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8 V's on the top. Where it gets a little tricky is you can see that there's the 2 chains at the beginning, so we don't count those as a stitch. We count directly above the post. So 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And again, we chain 2 at the beginning so that we have good height on our next row. Tension is also another important thing when you're working. If your yarn is really loose, you're going to have really loose stitches. But if your yarn is super tight, it's also going to create a lot of tension and pulling on your project, which won't look very good. So I like to hold my yarn just in my 3 fingers like this. And then I use this top part for directing my yarn. Now you can see we have 1 row, 2 row, 3 rows, and 4 rows completed. You can see the rows here too. They're like, you can see the posts with the rows. If you ever notice your project starting to get wider or get more narrow, you need to go back and count your stitches, because you'll realize that if it's getting narrow or wider, you have either too less or too many stitches. Okay, so now we're at a good swatch position. So we're going to cut this off and I'll show you how to tie it off. When you've come to the end of your project, leave your hook in and then come out probably 4 inches from your tail and snip your project. Then what you're going to do, or what I like to do, is I like to yarn over and pull through and pull my yarn all the way through and then tighten it up. And now you see we've completed our swatch. Okay, so now you probably figure, well, what do we do with these tails? These tails are what we need our tapestry needle for, so that we can weave in these ends. Take your yarn and pull your yarn through the tapestry needle. And then what I like to do is I like to go down and back about 3 times. I feel like that gives it security so that it's not going to come unwound. So I kind of just weave it down to this bottom part here, because I like to go through where these stitches meet the row below. I just run my needle through. I pull it all the way through. Now, if you pull way too tight, you're going to bunch up your project. So just make sure that it's not super, super tight. Now, when you come back this way, don't go back in exactly where you were, because then it'll just unwind what you did. So come to the next little post and run your needle through. And again, don't pull super tight, but pull it tight enough to where it's obviously taut with where it's supposed to be. Now, one last time, we're going to run back down a 3rd time. So I'm going to not go back in right where I was, but I'm going to go next to it and come back down. Okay, so this last spot now is complete. And now what we're going to do is snip this little tail. Just make sure that you're not snipping any bit of the stitches or anything, because then your project will come unwound. There, you can see that it's nice and woven in. Now we'll do this bottom part. And again, I like to go right where the stitches have met the chains below. Weave it down 1, and back for 2. If you do end up pulling it too tight, you can just kind of pull it back and loosen it up a bit. And then back down for the last. Okay. Then we're going to snip our tail. Being careful not to snip the stitch. And there you have it. We have our double crochet swatch. Okay, I hope you liked that tutorial. I hope it was informative to you and it helped you on your crochet journey. Hey, so if you did like it, please like it down below and put a comment. Maybe you could put the little yarn emoji or something like that, and I'll personally reach out and say hi to you. And if you can, why don't you subscribe? Because I would love for you to come back around, hang out with us, see us next week when we post a video every Wednesday. Just so you know, you can follow us on Instagram at Cultivating Wild Roots. And if you're interested, we also have a Buy Me a Coffee link. So if you want to support our page in that way, we'd love to have you there too. We'll see you next week on Wednesday. I hope you have a great week. See you next time.